Like most of you, I'm super excited for deer season, and I'm also excited to be bringing you the Moultrie Mobile tip each week. We're going to be sharing this every Friday afternoon just in time for you to go hunting or the weekend. How to best use trail cameras to increase your success as a deer hunter and land manager. So follow along every Friday afternoon throughout deer season. I have my Moultries out here at the Proving Grounds in southwestern Missouri, near Branson, Missouri. And just this morning, I got the first picture of a buck out of velvet. Those antlers were shiny as it was going through that food plot, looking good. I've got some buddies been calling me or texting me about bucks that have just shed their velvet. And that's an important sign. It's not just that hard antlers are out there letting us know deer season starts soon, but it tells us that hormones are changing, and that's a big sign of where and how we should be using trail cameras. Right when that velvet's shedding, or a few bucks have had that velvet off, bucks are on a food cover pattern. They're not even thinking about the rut yet. In fact, if they're thinking anything about the rut, it's more about dominance. Now, dominance is different than a lot of people think. Bucks don't drive all the other bucks out of territory. They don't make scrapes to define their boundary, almost like a coyote marking a road. Carnivores are often territorial, but whitetails, they're not. They're making scrapes as a communication post, but we're a little bit early to be talking about scrapes, or share that with you in a few weeks. Right now, we're thinking food cover. And it's still hot out in a lot of places throughout the whitetails range. So an ideal place to put those Moultries is gonna be where cover and food are only, 70, 100 yards apart. This time of year, bow hunters want to get as close as they can to that bedding area without alerting deer. A lot of those more mature bucks, they're not going to make it out of cover into a food source, but just right at dark, they may not even make it to the food source by dark. So the closer you can slide in, maybe find a travel corridor or a pinch point to cover without alerting deer, probably the more pictures of that mature buck you're going to get during daylight or shooting hours. That's a little bit of a challenge, but you need to approach putting those trail cameras up almost like you are hunting. If they're bedding over here, you want the wind coming this way so you can slide in there and keep most of your scent and noise from alerting that deer. Another big tip for this time of year is hidey-ho food plots. Those hidey-hos, or small food plots, are often tucked back in the timber or away from fields. Some people call them staging area plots. And you can use those knowing deer are gonna get there earlier than a big feeding field or a big food plot, get a little snack before they keep moving. Hidey-hos are a great way to get a pattern on a buck while they're moving during shooting hours. Now, it's a bit tougher to find those morning spots this time of year. During the morning, deer are often moving just before daylight and right at daylight, right when you're trying to get to your stand. I'm a morning person, I wake earlier, but oftentimes it's better hunting in the afternoons. Hopefully you know where the deer are bedding, or you know some bedding areas, and you can slide in knowing they're not moving, and you're less likely to get busted in an afternoon hunt than a morning hunt when they're moving before you even go to your blind or stand. Deer need food, cover, and water daily. I often don't go into cover to put my trail cameras up, but it's wicked dry throughout much of the whitetails range. I know the south is getting some rain right now, those storms coming in, but where many of us hunt, it's very dry. So water could also be a great place to put that Moultrie. We've got some trail cameras right next to ponds, and we're getting pictures every day or at night at those water sources. No matter where you put your camera, it's pretty important to have that camera pointed generically north. If you've got it pointed south or east or west, at some point the sun's probably going to strike the front of that camera and could potentially trigger an event. That sun's putting out infrared, hitting that infrared sensor. So the new Moultries are really good about not having any false events, but you also get better pictures if you're just pointed north, because the camera is not competing with the sun. And we all like those beautiful pictures of that big buck. So point those cameras somewhat north, northeast, northwest, north, and you have better quality pictures to share with your buddies. In addition to making sure that camera is not competing with the sun, it's also important to make sure you have it framed right. I got buddies that send me pictures, there's a limb, man, it's right over the buck's antlers, or they're only got pictures of the belly and the feet. Take a moment when you're setting that camera up you can just step in front of it, trigger a picture, go back, look at your cell phone, and make sure everything is framed appropriately to ensure you get a high quality picture. You don't want to be going in and out of that hunting area all the time, so take a moment and set it up right the first time. Trim any brush that might be in the way and get it set up at just the right height and in just the right area. These are just some tips to get us all started on the right foot, and we'll be sharing more tips every Friday afternoon throughout the hunting season. So stay tuned, and I hope y'all have time to get outside and enjoy creation.